welcome to Rave Sensation. I'm your host, Dan, and in this episode, I'm going to be looking at just a motley collection of underground comics that all happen to be boxed together. And so I'm not going to spend a long time on each of them. I'm just going to put out a little something in every issue. Okay, so in this one, this is Print Mint, and they put out a fair number of good underground comics in the time. Get this out of the way too. And it's got people like let's see here. It's got Robert Armstrong, Kim Deitch, Justin Green, Bill Griffith, Eileen Krumlinski, Diana Noman. The thing I was going to point out in this, and there's this is a really solid collection. And, Let Me Out of Here, this is basically, it says growing up in the American dream. And it's basically about these cartoonists writing about their childhoods. And so it's all really pretty interesting. The one I thought I'd point out here is this R. Crumb one. It's Treasure Island Days. It's about he and his brothers seeing the Disney version of Treasure Island on TV, and then them playing how caught up they get in playing the game, and it's a really sweet, funny little cartoon. It's only 2 pages long, but compared to how most of his comics about his childhood are about, this is one of the things that really messed me up. And this one's just a cute, kind of funny little cartoon. And here's the Bunch doing one of her comics. I know a lot of people don't like her art, but I love it. I think it's great, and I love when she writes about her time growing up, which she does fairly often. She uses her childhood a lot. It's just very, very funny because, I don't think they're all really true stories. I think some of these things are things that happen to other people and she's incorporated into her own stories, but I really don't know. But these are just, swinging that bottle of wine back there. It's just crazy. And then she goes home with some guy and passes out. She wakes up with her butt sore. Poor Bunch. This is just, that's very funny. And this is about Kim Deitch writing about his relationship with TV when he was growing up. So, anyway, this is a really good one. I don't think a lot of these stories have been reprinted anywhere. I guess the Crumb one is probably in that complete Crumb comics. They've never done a complete collection, as far as I know, for Eileen, which is too bad. I mean, there was a collection with Bunch in the title, but it wasn't a complete one or anything like that. And she really deserves it. It's great. And the stuff she does with Bob, the last couple of years before she passed are some of my favorites. Favorite stuff. They really work well together. They're a great team. But anyway, that's a really good one. Print Mint. I can't read what it originally said, but those sons of guns charged me $1.50 when I bought it. Short Order is this is one that was put together by Art Spiegelman, and it shows, obviously he's right there with the underground guys. This collection is really great. It's got the underground guys. It's got some people who are more contemporary of art, and it's got of course Spiegelman himself doing work, and it's another really strong collection. George, I think his name is Kircher. Kircher, yeah, Kircher, I think. He's someone who, when I was reading these comics, I might like individual ones, but I don't think I ever really thought of his work as a whole. And now, as I was glancing through a bunch of these undergrounds and seeing some of the stuff, I'm going like, oh, it'd be nice to gather his stuff together and then read it all as one and see how it adds up. But like I said, it's a very strong collection. You can see how he picked all people who are really have a This is one of those. Willie Murphy is basically making fun of how lame the daily comics have become. But by this time, I think that pretty much went without saying. So I don't know if that's that big a deal. Here's another one by Kirchar. Herzog Holiday: The Wonderful Story of a Woman and Her Dog. A rat eating a pigeon. A noise awakens Mrs. Herzog. It's a car crash and people are burning to death in the wreckage. The highway makes her sick and she vomits on someone. The dog needs to go out and have a poop. He drags her out to the... Oh, Lord. This is horrifying. The art in this is just so much. She gets beaten up and robbed, and then instead of helping her, people just walk by going lousy drunk. She gets a letter from her son. The neighbor flashes her. Good Lord. The dog's eating everything, all the furniture in the house, and the letter from her son is, Dear Ma, please loan me $200. And Miss Herzog ends her day. Oh, Lord. Oh, God. There's a Rory Hayes. This is a lot older. He had passed. He's been passed away a long time before this was put together. Oh my goodness! Just you can't look at his comics without thinking he's on drugs. Here's this. I think Spiegelman reprinted himself in Raw. I think. I know I've seen this reprinted somewhere else. I had forgotten it was in this comic. Ace Hole, Midget Detective, which is a wander through comic strip and modern art and really. I thought it was really clever for how many references I got at the time. It's a fun strip. Anyway, that's Short Order. It's this. I don't have any other issues. There must have been. This is number 2, so there must have been at least one other one. I don't know if there's more. I should probably check into that. Spiegelman putting together an underground. Sure, why not? Rip off, of course. If you're not familiar with, if you're familiar with undergrounds at all, then you know rip-off comics. This one this one's got a lot of interesting stuff in it. It's got a lot of Gilbert Shelton, and that's a good thing. This is a very funny one. The Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. Phineas gets an abortion, and he gets his girlfriend pregnant. This is, it's one of the Freak Brothers. I can't go into it too much. It's so wild though. I'm laughing just thinking about it, but I'm not. I can't. I'd have to read the whole thing. So, just take my word for it. If you're not familiar with the rip-off comics, you should pick up some of these. A lot of the undergrounds were kept in print. They had larger print runs than you would imagine. So they're not really that expensive to get, or at least they didn't used to be. Honestly, since I already have them, I haven't really priced them in a long time. So, and this is another Gilbert Shelton. His other big thing besides the Freak Brothers was Wonder Warthog, and this has got some absolutely fabulous cartooning in it. I mean, these figures and these, this heavy line is just so good. A warthog from prehistoric times comes to modern day and drops in on. This character is actually Wonder Warthog in his human being disguise. So the Warthog smashes it. Now comes Wonder Warthog. And then there's two contemporary Wonder Warthogs. One of who is a punker, and he decides that with the Neanderthal Warthog, they'll get together and they'll beat up Wonder Warthog because they don't like him because he's such a square. And then Wonder Warthog from the future sees what's going on and comes back in time to try and put an end to the hostilities. And this was a special. This issue. Rip Off Comics International presents British Comic Bonus, and there's so they come up with these English comics, and this guy Spotty Dick. The gags are very much like Looney Tunes or older comics. I mean, they're just the only thing that makes them seem more modern is that the amount of violence, I guess. Even the violence is not that bad. But the drawing style is just hilarious. But it's it's so funny. This snake pit reminds me of. No, it doesn't matter. But it's just a bunch of gags. He's so stupid. Even the simplest task he's given, he ends up hurting the poor old timer who's teaching him the ropes. Oh, and there's I had forgotten Savage Pencil was in here, and his artwork is just it's pretty funny. Just his art, just the way he draws these things is just so funny. And I actually doesn't look that far off there. Anyway, so that's the big one there. It's a Rip Off Comics number 8, and it has this nice little bit here about the British artists, and the Wonder Warthog has some of the best of the physical humor that he does so well. This drawings there. Death Rattle was in there too. A horror comic from Kitchen Sink. And this one, there's a couple of issues in here. I picked this one because this has Jackson in it, and this is Jackson. I think it's Jack Jackson, right? Or something like that. But he just goes by Jackson. So his comics, he started off with the underground guys, but then he ended up doing all these true historical, very heavily researched historical novels, especially about Texas. And what's funny is this looks like those historical things, comics. I mean, it's got some definite underground roots still going here. But then, he has this supernatural element. Like, look at this creature. They give him a human woman as a sacrifice, and Lord only knows he's got suckers all over his whole body, it looks like. And it says she has sucker marks on her the next day. So, I don't have the complete story of this. I don't know if it was ever finished. I forget how many issues of Death Rattle there were. This is number 16, so I don't think it lasted too much longer. But the other thing I wanted to, they also have they reprint another Basil Wolverton comic, and it's one of my favorites of the Space Hawks. Look how simple he drew that this ship. That is so minimal. I love it. But this is one of my favorites because the different alien races are so cool. They're really funny. The creatures that live on the planet are all wild looking. That bat, and Space Hawk comes to save the day between these two warring factions. This is the creature that is really out there. Space Hawk knocks it out and then takes care of it, and then it comes back at the end and leads a revolt of his friends against the bad aliens. Just tremendous. Look at they put Space Hawk on a rack. Oh, there it is. Look, see, the ship he's cracking the ship, but instead of like metal falling apart, it looks like boulders. It looks like hunks of rock. It doesn't like, it's nothing like it would be. Just that, it's a fantastic. So, yeah, strange underground thing, but then also powerful, good Basil reprint. This is one of the Bunch's comics. This is one of her own, the Bunch's Power Pack comics. I've already talked about the Bunch. I don't want to belabor it, but I just thought I'd point out here that this is one of the funny things. The Bunch lives, there's a lot of more well-to-do families that the Bunch lives near, and at some point though she comes to the realization that her dad is not that good a provider. She's going like, I'm scared. What if we starve to death? All my friends are rich. My family's poor. The adult world is really grim. The Bunch's realizations end her childhood at age 9. And her poor dad didn't find any work today, filled out 12 applications. I'm not having much luck. Oh my God. We don't hardly have any money left at all. I'll have to borrow from the Dilloffs. There goes my last ounce of pride. Then he gets a job. But I mean, this is funny. This is she becomes an adult at age 9. And here's this is one of her other characters, not herself. There's a little sexy time there. Here's an issue of I really like to point out, I point this out a lot when I'm looking through these alternative comics and stuff, is I really enjoy the female cartoonists, but sexism, what I don't know why they just weren't as successful. They didn't produce as much material. Maybe it was because guys were buying comics by guys because they could relate to it more, and women didn't seem to be buying as many. I have no idea, but sad to me that a lot of it's not collected together anymore. Now I do see that. I think it's Fantagraphics is putting together a collection of the Tits and Clits comics, but it's going to be another one of those giant expensive things that I can't afford. They've put out a bunch of things in the last couple of years that I would love to have, but I can't afford. But in the meantime, I've got these, but I wish somebody would do some more of these, more collections of these. These are funny, really dirty. These women talk about having sex a lot in these, just like their male counterpoints in their undergrounds. So I'm not going to flip through this. I was just going to point this comic out because I thought it was kind of funny, maybe slightly relative. It's Mr. Right, a couple meeting up in a bar. Your place or mine. They happily go home. You're cute. Da da da. They undress. Da, 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 da. Oh, it turns out that the one that was dressed like a man is actually a woman, and the one dressed as a woman is actually a man. But they turned out to be a perfect couple. And this was 1976. This is another one, women's comics. This is funny. It's just. I won't go too into this. Again, it's got a lot of stuff in here I probably shouldn't play on the channel, but women's comics is a good one to look at. I don't know if there's been a collection of some of the stories from here, but they published some good ones over the years. So there you go. And now I'm going to mention this. This was in the box too. This isn't actually an underground. This is from later on. This is Chester Brown's, a collection of Chester Brown's Ed the Happy Clown, which was serialized in Yummy Fur. It's a it's a it was a stream of consciousness kind of thing. It started off, you can tell here, it kind of started off as a mini comic. Here's Ed the Happy Clown. I'm on my way to visit the sick children in the hospital. Sorry, Ed, the hospital burned down and everyone died except us doctors. Oh well, maybe I'll go visit the orphanage. I've accidentally broken my leg. Oh no, the rats. And on it goes. But then at some point he decides he starts making it more like having a real story and a real, something you can follow, although still kind of crazy. There, Frankenstein visits. He gets aboard an alien spaceship. Ed has all kinds of terrible. But the reason I brought this up originally is because when this was coming out, I was like, he hadn't finished this, and it was moving kind of slow. It wasn't, coming out. And when he said, "Oh, Ed the Happy Clown, this book's coming out," of course I ordered it right away because I was like, all right, we'll finally, he must have finished the story, and we're going to see the end of the story. Well, guess what? You get to the end of the book, and it's where he was in the comic. It doesn't finish the story. So you buy this book, and so the reason I'm telling you this is because there are versions of Ed the Happy Clown out there that have the whole story in it. This one doesn't. So don't accidentally get this one thinking you're getting the whole thing. This was a bait and switch. I would have rather Chester would have just said, "Hey, can you lend me some money while I still work on this book?" Because I'm imagining that's what the thing was. They needed to generate some money because I doubt very much that this was making selling that many copies. And again, that's the old Yummy Fur. Well, I had a bunch of them in here too, but I was going to save those for a talk on the alternative comics instead of just throwing in with the undergrounds. Anyway, that's all for now. Take care.